Or when you are at the hospital and they insist on a hefty deposit before treatment.
Yeah!
Or after receiving the full hospital bill and you realize that it may cost you not just an arm and a leg, but also your birthright.
Yeah!
But when Avon HMO has your back, you won't have to scream, Yekba, because in the end, we all need people. Visit avonhealthcare.com now to get an Avon Health plan for you and your people. Avon HMO, empowering you to live a healthier, fuller life.
99.3 FM Nigeria Info. Time check is exactly 6:30 p.m. My name is Ezugu Chukudi and I am now joined in the studio by our good friends at Avon HMO. Nigeria Info, in association with Avon HMO, brings you practical health tips with Dr. Avon. And playing Dr. Avon today is Dr. Innocent Abah. Good evening, Dr. Innocent Abah.
Good evening. Thank you for having me.
Welcome to the show. Now, it's important to understand that we value feedback. So if you would like to reach out to Avon HMO, do well to engage us on social media at Avon HMO on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. You can also send an email to the address practical tips at avonhealthcare.com. So, Dr. Innocent Abah, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. Good evening, Lagos.
Good evening. And so, you are aware Dr. Innocent Abah is an optometrist with vast experience in clinical management. He has volunteered for several awareness and education campaigns in Nigeria and globally, including the Metroeyes Annual Vision Restore, Founders Week, and Back to School programs, and the Silverbird TV, Doctors on Air, Metro FM and Smooth FM radio programs, and he is currently the practice manager, Metroeyes Lagos. Big doctor. Big doctor.
Thank you very much.
Doctor.
Thank you very much.
Welcome to the show. So let's just delve straight into the conversation. This episode is titled the Shine Your Eye episode, and we're going to learn how to take better care of our eyes. Doctor, some people would say, I don't know if you understand the Yoruba language.
No, I don't.
When you hear ma woju uche, oju uche oshewo.
No.
So it translates literally into do not look into the eyes, because the person at the time is feeling some type of way. Now, in several conversations, the eye would always come in, and it shows how important the eye is. Some people even say it is the light of the body, because if you cannot see with your eyes, it's really going to be very difficult to do certain things that people consider a part of their everyday life. So let's talk about certain facts about the eyes. Let's talk about the eye color and learn new things. What is the world's most common eye color?
Okay, thank you very much. Most people will say brown, and the very important thing I want to point out about the eye is like you mentioned, a window into the soul. There is endless possibilities of things we can see through the eyes, even from the doctor perspective and from the patient perspective. So, for instance, from the doctor perspective, if you come into the clinic and on examination of your eye, do you know that for some people with blood pressure, there are signs we could see in the eye? Diabetes and so many other general health problems. So that's why I would say it's a window into the soul. So just looking at your eye, if there are tendencies of maybe high cholesterol levels and maybe ruptured blood vessels or complications from the presence of prolonged, unmanaged or mismanaged diabetes, these are the things that your doctor could actually see. And in some cases, we actually tell some people, you need to go and check this and this and that, just looking into the eye. Then from the patient point of view, just 2 days ago, after our Vision Restore program, I was opportune to be at the point when a patient was just taking off the patch after surgery. And you could see from the face of this patient that seeing again is something that, honestly, I can't quantify the
joy and relief.
The joy I saw in her eyes that day. So, like you mentioned, the eye is the window to the soul, and also for the patient is the window to the world.
Interesting. So before I return to you for some more questions, I would like our listeners to grab a pen and paper and jot things down so that you can take things away. Really very important. Some more facts about the eyes. Humans can see more shades of green than any other color. Chameleons can move their eyes in 2 directions at once. Dolphins can sleep with one eye open. And finally, blue-eyed people are more tolerant of alcohol but less tolerant of the sun. These are our eyes there. Really very special. So, but doctor, when people talk about, eye defects and all that they have to deal with, I'd like to ask, are eye defects hereditary?
A large part of it. You understand? A large number of eye defects are hereditary or familial. So sometimes it might not be related to a gene that is passed from parents to offspring, but it might just be familiar in the family. You understand? So if you have certain conditions like glaucoma, cataract, these are conditions that are familiar. These are conditions that if the parent has, or maybe both of the parents have this condition, there is a higher probability. Not sure that the children would definitely have, but at least the probability is higher. So we encourage parents who have been diagnosed of glaucoma and cataract to make sure all their offspring, all their children and their children to come in for eye examination. Because I tell most people the secret to seeing well or good vision is early detection. So when we can see these things early, even before, currently we have some machines that are able to, even before you start seeing certain obvious symptoms of certain diseases, at least it can show some damages that are hidden in the cellular level. We can reveal these things early, and then we can start treatment early enough and protect or prevent your vision from going bad.
Interesting. Talking about eye defects, what are the most common causes?
Okay, when we talk about causes of eye defect, we'll talk about the commonest ones here in Nigeria. Because when we talk about the common one worldwide, when you go abroad, they've been able to handle some of the preventable causes of blindness and visual impairment. I won't go into what blindness and visual impairment are today, but some common causes are, number one, glaucoma. Glaucoma causes irreversible loss of vision. And it is preventable because if there is early detection, the only risk factor that is modifiable is the intraocular pressure. So usually the doctor, the optometrist or the ophthalmologist gives you medication that help to reduce the pressure and put it within a limit, 10 to 21 millimeter mercury. It puts it within the normal limit so it doesn't damage the eye. Apart from glaucoma, some other common causes of visual impairment could be cataract. Now, cataract is the number one cause of visual impairment worldwide. And it's so dangerous that with cataract, people are not able to appreciate colors. They're not able to appreciate vision, the world, better with cataract. And the good thing about it is reversible. A simple surgery on the eyes to remove the opaque lens can reverse this and help you see the beauty of life again. But if you are not aware, if you are not informed, you will continue to remain in darkness because you don't know. Apart from that, we also have trauma as a very common cause of visual impairment. And I would like to encourage as many people who in their day-to-day activities are exposed to harmful instruments, harmful devices that they use to work, to get your eyes protected. You understand? It will not cost you, it will cost you next to nothing to have maybe a form of protection over the eyes. This would prevent some trauma or some foreign bodies from getting access into the eye.
Interesting. Now, doctor, I'm sure that millions of Nigerians are saying, I hope doctor will answer this question correctly because a lot of Nigerians are dependent on this particular food item. I would like to ask first, is there a connection between diet and eyesight? Because a lot of people scapegoat Gary as a cause of visual impairment. Doctor, save a life. Is this true?
Partially, in the sense that Gary in itself, carbohydrate, may not be very, very harmful if it is well processed. And the cassava has cyanide content that's very high, and usually during the process where they process the Gary, they press out some of those content out. But some people don't process it well enough. You understand? So that process where it's not well processed, then the cyanide is so dangerous that it can cause death, it can cause blindness depending on the quantity you ingest. You understand? So now when people ingest gari that is not well processed, then it can affect the vision. But a well processed gari at least would not have those effects.
So are there any foods that may have benefits for a clearer vision?
Yes, of course.
What about supplements also?
Yes, of course. Just last month here, we were talking about Love Your Eyes. That was the theme of the World Sight Day. And one of the major things we focused on in that Love Your Eyes was to talk about foods that you could eat, such as, for instance, green leafy vegetables. These are very important because they provide vitamins. Vitamins are the primary nutrient the eye needs. There are other things like lutein, zeaxanthin you can get from your carotene. You can also get from eating fish, the omega-3 fatty acids. Citrus products like oranges give you some level of vitamins too. Nuts like your cashew nuts are also very important. Even water. I want to emphasize water because water is, apart from ingesting enough water, keeping your body hydrated as a way of also making sure your vision is good. Water is also very, very important. For instance, about some 7 years ago, I saw a patient who came in, that was in Edo State, and he said when he came out to ease himself at night, he saw a snake, and the snake spat into his eyes. That is his own story. Whether it was snake or not, I don't know. So the snake spat into his eyes, and he washed his eyes with so much water. And when he came to the clinic, I discovered that a huge portion of that chemical were out, and the damage was not so bad after all. You understand? Now, I want to emphasize the importance of using clean water to wash the surface of the eye. If, for instance, there's a chemical that falls into the eye, for instance, let's say battery acid, which I've seen also, you don't have to go and look for a base. Since it's acid, let me use base. No. Water does magic, what we call copious irrigation. Because even if you come to the clinic, what the doctor will do first is to use copious irrigation, a large amount of water to irrigate the eye. So this is something you can do before, it's like first aid before seeing your doctor.
Interesting. Now, you mentioned the place of work, but some people also believe that if you live in highly industrialized cities, say for example Lagos and Port Harcourt, you are more prone to poor vision and eye defects. How true is this?
Very true.
Hey, Lagos.
Very true. I wish I can say otherwise, but it's very true. And the reason is because of the high pollution rate. You know, when the atmosphere is polluted, maybe by carbon dioxide, carbon dioxide from your vehicles, from industries around, when your water is polluted by chemicals from different companies, and these things come in contact with the eye. One of the things is they could cause irritation. Now, I've noticed the high level of dry eye syndrome around here more, and part of it would be due to the environment, the dry environment, the dusty environment. These things can cause allergies and reactions that are negative from the eye, majorly.
So an eye defect that is now common in conversations is strabismus, crossed eyes. Some people call it iron 430, where, for example, you are talking to somebody in a particular direction, it would appear like you're looking in another direction. What is responsible for this, and how can it be corrected, if it can be corrected?
Thank you very much. Starting up, you said there's an animal that can move both eyes at the same time in opposite direction. Yes. Now, the eyes are meant to work together. And this ability of the eyes to work together could be moving together to the right, to the left, and you understand. But that is when they are coupled, they are working together. Occasionally, for some people, maybe due to muscle imbalance or problems with the muscles, there are 6 extraocular muscles that direct the eyes in different directions. So if one of those muscles is probably partially paralyzed, or is paralyzed, or is weak, or is longer, or is shorter, this can make the eyes not to move together in synchrony. That is what we call strabismus, like you mentioned. It could be hereditary, it could be acquired too. Sometimes pressure, maybe I used to have a very young patient who developed strabismus when he fell from the table, like he was crawling and fell. Now, the eyes are supposed to work together, like I said, you understand? So, but when there is any force that affects the brain coordination of the eye, it can cause strabismus. Yes, it can be treated. The optometrist would probably have what we call the vision training, where they can give the child certain trainings to help the two eyes learn to work together or coordinate together. And there are also surgeries that can be done where we can do what we call muzzle resection, where some of the muscles, maybe one muzzle is longer than the other, then you probably just do some surgery on it, and then the vision can be aligned. But either way, it's not something you can do yourself, of course. So you need to go to an eye clinic, get your eyes examined, and they tell you what kind of disorder it is. Some could be nervous, and that's a bit difficult, you know, maybe the nerve innervation of the muscles. So if there's a poor innervation, it's a bit more difficult to handle. But either way, get your eyes checked and tested, and the doctor will tell you what's best to treat it.
Interesting. So we once heard that sitting too close to the television or using your phone in the dark can do damage to one's sight. Is there any truth to this, or did our parents lie to us?
All right, let me not say our parents lied to us before they would, flog me when I get home. But the thing is, most people who move close to digital devices or their television to see better, actually, they don't do that and that worsens the vision. They do that because they can't see from the distance. Do you understand? So, but another thing, so it's a cause and effect, something about cause and effect, because moving close normally would increase your probability of being more myopic. For instance, by 2050, it's estimated that at least 50% of the world population would be myopic. And this is because of our increasing use of digital devices. And we use these digital devices sometimes very close to the eye. Sometimes I come out to the reception and I see a patient using, I'll just tell them, oh, you have to put it at a distance. About minimum is 30 cm, but it should be 40 cm away from your eye. But we bring these things too close. And sometimes we use these things in the dark without any form of protection, which is very, very harmful to the eyes. So in summary, moving close to the television can cause some level of damage, as it can make you be prone to having or developing myopia. And most of the people who come close, like children coming close to the board in school, usually do that because they can't see from the back. So they need to see an eye doctor who checks them and knows if there is any form of correction they can use.
Now, can cosmetics such as makeup, artificial lashes, and all sorts affect the eyes?
Yes, it can. Yes, it can. There are a lot of things that can happen. One of it is when this falls into the eye, maybe in the point where you're trying to do it, they fall into the eye, maybe they cause some form of irritation in the eye, they can cause some allergies. Sometimes some of the stuff they rub might block because there are pores. Okay, your tears is meant to constantly lubricate the surface of the eyes. That is why if you stare for too long, you have to blink to spread tears over the eye. So when you use some of these things they rub and you block some of those pores, there are two major kinds of pores. The pores that secrete the aqueous component, there are about three. The pores that secrete the aqueous component, the pores that secrete the oily component, and the cells that secrete the mucous component. All these things are part of your tears. So when you rub so many of these things, they alter the component of your tears, leading to what we call dry eyes, which is very common. I can tell you that over 70% of people here in Lagos are having dry eyes. And
over 70%?
Yes. And this is because of our exposure to harsh environment. The dust and smoke I've spoken about. Even your AC increases your probability of having dry eyes because it increases the evaporation of tears in the surface of the eye. Okay?
AC. Hey, you use your hand and buy enjoyment. From enjoyment to wahala. So interesting. So, but can using glasses or contacts weaken the eyesight or make one too dependent on them?
No. There are many reasons, out of which two of the reasons why we give glasses. Number one, for instance, is a child who needs to use glasses but never used that glasses may have what we call amblyopia later on. Okay? Apart from that, the glasses helps you see what you probably thought was unseeable before or you have really not seen before. So at the time, when you take it off, you discover that, oh, I can't see this thing until I put on the glasses. So I'm dependent on the glasses, but you couldn't see it before. You get? That's number one. Number two, as we grow older, a lot of things change. For instance, the eyelid, the way it glues to the eyeball changes as you go older. It becomes more lax. It no longer puts too much pressure on the eye. So most times as you grow older, you probably get what we call against the rule astigmatism and with the rule astigmatism. I won't go in depth, but what I'm trying to say in essence is your refractive status or the ability of the eye to see changes as you grow older. You get it now? So basically.
All right. So what are the major causes of eye discharge? And should anyone experiencing eye discharge be overly worried?
Not overly worried, but see your doctor. So the causes could be bacterial infection, viral infection, which causes the popular Apollo. Because it's very, very contagious, you see when somebody has it, the other person has it, not necessarily by looking at their eyes, but because you probably you touch something they have touched before, and then there's a contact. And so it's not like you should be worried, but you should see your doctor.
Important to see your doctor.
Yeah.
Not just cover your eye with special prayers. Really very important. Now let's talk about laser eye surgery. And I hear it's becoming quite common in these parts. Are there any side effects?
Not much, but there are. The thing is, before we do procedures like that, of course we would do some tests to know the outcome and the rest of them before we go into doing the procedure. Now you can use laser for some kind of cataract surgery. You can use it for maybe trabeculectomy, like for people with glaucoma. You would probably make a drainage. You can use laser for that. You can use laser for some very high myopia. You can flatten the cornea so they can see better without glasses or contact lenses. So most times we want to check, for instance, the thickness of the cornea before we go ahead to do the surgery. But for instance, after the surgery and maybe they over flatten the cornea, then there is room for other complications that could come out. But most of the times we do laser is a more recent technology, you understand, that helps to be more accurate in doing some of these procedures. Not that it cannot have its own possible complications, but it's a lot better than using the hand to do some of these surgeries.
Interesting. So I'm having a conversation with Dr. Innocent Abah, and this is a partnership between Nigeria Info with Avon HMO, bringing you practical health tips with Dr. Avon. Now, the title of this episode is the Shine Your Eye episode, and we're discussing specifically how to take very good care of your eyes. We've answered very important questions, and I have also shared facts that I am very certain that you are happy with. Now, if you would like to establish correspondence and get information from Avon HMO, you can visit the website www.avonhealthcare.com. I'll take that again. The website www.avonhealthcare.com. On Twitter, it's at Avon HMO. Avon HMO in capital letters. On Instagram at Avon HMO. On Facebook Avon HMO. And you can send an email to practicaltips@avonhealthcare.com. Let me share this information again because it's important to reach out and get information. The website is www.avonhealthcare.com. On Twitter, in capital letters, it is at Avon HMO. On Instagram, at Avon HMO. On Facebook, Avon HMO. And if you'd like to send an email, practicaltips@avonhealthcare.com. Thank you so much for this interesting conversation, Dr. Innocent Abah. Any other thoughts you would like to share for the benefit of the audience?
Yes, thank you very much. I would like to tell you that your eye doctor is your friend, and we are here just to make sure that you see better. You don't have to wait till when you notice that you can't see again, or you notice that your vision is going down. By the time you notice, you would have lost at least 40 to 50% of your vision before you can tell and say, oh, I think my vision is going down. So please try and see your eye doctor as soon as you can. And every 2 years, you should have your eyes examined. That is the stipulated or the generally accepted, you understand, duration for your eye examination. Not when your eyes are aching you, painful, discharging, but every 2 years. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Innocent Abah. Nigeria Info, in association with Avon HMO, brings you practical health tips with Dr. Avon. For the benefit of those who would like to get how you can reach out and engage Avon HMO, the website is www.avonhealthcare.com. On Twitter, in capital letters, at Avon HMO. On Instagram, at Avon HMO. Facebook is Avon HMO. And if you would like to send an email, practical tips at avonhealthcare.com. Thank you so much.
In life, everybody needs somebody. Whether it's a baby needing their mom's tender care,
Little baby, don't you cry.
or kids needing a traffic officer to cross the road, or simply nursing someone back to health.
Just like people need Avon, Nigeria's HMO of choice for easy access to first-rate affordable healthcare. Visit avonhealthcare.com now to get an Avon Health.
Love you better than I do.